So if I could just go back to the when you're traveling in Texas, where you went. I know you went to Houston, New Orleans, back to Dallas, and then you said you went south on those days, 13th, 14th, and did driving around south. Did you stay in Texas?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. I was, like I said, I was kind of out of control. There was forget the name of the town. I think it was called Glen Rose or Glen something, and it was south of Cleburne or something. And I stopped at this river park, and I was just hanging out there. And it was getting pretty late, and there was a woman who came, and she was going for like a walk on the trails up and down the river or something. And I almost went after her. She had a big dog with her. It was like a mastiff or something, but I was going to shoot the dog. I don't know. I wasn't... I definitely wasn't planning things through in Texas. I just wasn't. I was kind of just looking for something. I was in the hotel that... I'm trying to remember. I was driving around. Well, first of all, I was fishing. So I was fishing and driving around. I had got a Vermont fishing license. That was kind of my alibi for being there, I guess. And plus, I just wanted to check out the area. So I was doing a lot of driving around, and I was looking for churches, houses, and I was in the motel that I had stayed at a couple other times, I think, and I was also in that area because I wanted to dig up those guns that I had buried there. They had been there for a few years, and I wanted to check on them, make sure they weren't full of water, and so I think the way it worked is I went fishing for a day, then I went down and found the guns, brought them back up to the motel room, and worked on them for a while, getting everything working again. And then I found that house, and it was exactly what I was looking for, and started to think that I would do, I would go all out and just do a bunch of stuff. Like if I was kind of thinking, if I'm going to do something here, I'm going to go all out and do a bunch of stuff. So the plan was, I was in the hotel that evening, the evening before they were reported missing or whatever. I had all of the guns ready to go, and I had on, actually I think it was that same jacket that you found me with, that rain jacket. And I started walking around town at about 8 or 9 o'clock after it had got dark. And I was looking for someone to carjack. Because I had my backpack with me. It had a bunch of stuff in it, like cable ties and duct tape and some stuff for like blindfolds or something. And went across the road from the hotel and had a apartment complex there staked out, and I was waiting for someone to come in alone. And I was also looking for someone who was coming in a decent car that was fairly generic, because my thought was the next day after I got done with whoever I took, I was going to take their car, and I had 3 banks staked out in different towns, starting quite a ways north of Burlington. There's, I think, Highway 15 went up north and did like a loop, and there were several towns along that route. And so starting up north, I had a bank staked out at the top of the loop. I forget the name of the town. And then there were 2 more towns in a row right on the way back to Burlington. Both had small banks in them. My plan was to take whoever's car I took up to the furthest north one and hit that, and then drive back down Route 15 and hit the other 2 banks on my way back to Burlington, and then dump the car in Burlington and just move everything into my car and check out of the hotel and leave that day. So, so that's what I was had this apartment staked out. I was actually looking for a guy, and it was pouring rain, big lightning storm, and there was a guy who came in. He was in a yellow V-dub Bug, newer one, and he's almost he almost got it that night. If he hadn't got out of the car, he'd been about 5 seconds slower getting out of his car and going into the apartment. He would have been the one that night. But like I said, it was raining, so I walked out of this little wooded area, and I was walking up behind his car, and he kind of, or walking along the line of cars towards his car, and he kind of jumped out. He had like a newspaper over his head, and he ran into the apartment, keep from getting wet. But yeah, that would have been my first choice, I guess. But I was waiting for the right opportunity. So when that didn't work out, I wasn't that worried about it. I just waited till later. I had actually had an ambush set up here in Anchorage, and that one got really close, because. But then APD showed up. They came out to tell the people that the park was closed. It was about 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and there was a young couple out there in their car, and I had the parking lot at the park staked out. APD showed up, and that, could have got ugly, but fortunately for the cop guy, he his backup showed up. And I mean, APD is really good. Like they're really good. Like all by the book and stuff. And that's about the time that I decided to get a scanner, because I almost got myself into a lot of trouble on that one, because I had no way. I didn't think that he would call in backup just for some kids sitting out in a park, and almost pulled the trigger even with him there, and that would have got really ugly really fast. But anyway, well, as soon as his backup showed up, I decided I better call it a night, and got back on my bike and took off.
Yeah, I've been to that area. What's the name of the towns there?
Well, the town that the house I was working on was in was Maupin. It's just downriver from Bend, I think. Yeah, Bend, Oregon.
And what did you do then? You said you thought about taking it to the next level, but you obviously did some level.
Something you got away with them.
Yeah. There were these remote restrooms in these just random little beach areas along the river. And I took somebody to one of those, but I didn't kill her.
What'd you do to her?
It was one of those bathrooms where the door you could lock from the inside, and just like single restroom, and it was kind of late, so I knew nobody would be along, and but I was pretty done. I lost my nerve. I didn't kill her. She was pretty scared. She was about my age, so I don't know. I guess I just decided not to. I don't know.
Not to kill her.
Yeah.
Did you sexually assault her?
Yeah, I scared her pretty bad. I mean, I don't know, I guess maybe that's why I never read anything about it.
Do you have a weapon?
Yeah, I was mostly into knives at the time, but...
How'd you get her to the bathroom? I guess I'm assuming you didn't know her.
No, I didn't know her. She was out on the river, it's like a river you can float down, like people would do it on inner tubes and stuff. And I was just hanging out at this more remote spot. She was like the last one in her group, and I just grabbed her and pulled her into the shore.
She white, black, pink?
She was white.